Jonathan Lee Riches Investigates. I am in front of the Colleton County Courthouse, Walterboro, South Carolina, and I am covering the Alec Murdaugh trial. Alec Murdaugh is guilty. Change my mind. That is the message there. I believe that Alec Murdaugh is guilty. Now, let me give you a summation about the timeline of events dealing with Alec Murdaugh, who is on trial right now for the murder of his wife and his son. I'm going to read this to you. For more than a year, a central question swirled around the fatal shootings of the wife and son of disgraced South Carolina personal attorney Alec Murdaugh. Who killed them? The unsolved slayings of Margaret, 52, and the couple's younger son, Paul, 22, in June 2021 shattered the immaculate image of the well-connected legal family in South Carolina Low Country. Murdaugh, whose family, grandfather, and great-grandfather were each elected as top prosecutors in the region in roles collectively spanning almost 90 years, immediately denied culpability in the deaths. Still, the slaying set off a bizarre chain of events that officials say included Murdaugh hiring a hitman to kill him so his older son could collect on his life insurance policy, and dozens of other charges against Murdaugh accusing him of financial crimes. Investigators shared few details and named no suspects or persons of interest in the slayings. But then on Thursday, a grand jury indicted Murdaugh on double murder charges in connection with the deaths of Margaret and Paul. Authorities said, capping off a long, winding mystery marked by conflicting narratives and a web of other questionable deaths that has yet to be fully untangled. Here is a timeline of the key moments in this case. June 7th, 2021. Murdaugh calls 911 at 10:07 p.m. to say he has found his lifeless bodies of Margaret and Paul near the family's dog kennels on their Hunting Lodge estate in rural Colleton County. I've been gone, Murdaugh, his voice shivering, tells the dispatchers. I just came back. Authorities arriving on the scene, lawyers for Murdaugh, later provided an alibi telling news outlets that he has been spending time with his mother, who has dementia, and her caregiver that day. Murdaugh's father, Randolph Murdaugh, dies at his home in Hampton County, South Carolina at 81, following various health ailments. This is a few days after the murder. His death, while not directly connected to the slayings, adds to the growing intrigue in the case. June 14, 2021. A coroner reveals Margaret and Paul both suffered multiple gunshot wounds, with the estimated time of death between 9 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. September 4th, 2021. Murdaugh is injured in a roadside shooting in Hampton County. Authorities say his friend and a lawyer, Jim Griffin, tells news outlets that Murdaugh's black Mercedes-Benz SUV had a flat tire and he pulled his vehicle over when a pickup truck passing by turned around and the person inside opened fire. September 5th, authorities say Murdaugh's injury is superficial head wound and he had been flown to Memorial Health University Medical Center in Savannah, Georgia for treatment. Murdaugh releases a public statement saying he has resigned from his family law firm to enter rehab. This is on September 6, 2021. And that he made a lot of decisions that I truly regret. Hours later, his firm, Peters, Murdaugh, Parker, Elstroff, and Dietrich, released its own statement alleging Murdaugh has misappropriated company funds. September 8, 2021. The South Carolina Supreme Court indefinitely suspends Murdaugh's law license. September 14, 2021. Authorities provide new details in the roadside shooting. They allege that Murdaugh arranged for a man to kill him so that his older son, Buster, could collect $10 million in life insurance policy. The man, identified as Curtis Edward Smith, 61, is arrested on charges of assisted suicide, assault and battery of a highly aggravated nature, pointing and presenting a firearm, insurance fraud, and conspiracy to commit insurance fraud. September 15, 2021, an attorney for Murdaugh, Richard Harpeleden, tells NBC Today, showed that his client was depressed and attempting to get off an opioid addiction that continued to consume him in the wake of his wife's sudden death. Believing his insurance policy had a suicidal clause, Harpeleden says Murdaugh enlisted a man to kill him during a fake car breakdown. Meanwhile, state investigators announced the opening of a criminal investigation into the death and longtime murder housekeeper Gloria Satterfield. She died in 2018 following what had been described as a trip and fall accident at the family home. The decision is based on the request from the Hampton County coroner and on the information gathered during the separate investigation involving Murdaugh. September 16, 2021, Murdaugh surrenders to authorities after he's charged with insurance fraud, conspiracy to commit insurance fraud, and filing a false police report. He is granted bond and a judge orders him to surrender his passports, but permits him to return to the Drug Rehabilitation Center. October 14, 2021, Murdaugh, I called him murder because he is a murderer. Murdaugh is arrested in Florida upon his release from a drug rehab facility. Authorities charge him with 2 felony counts of obtaining property by false pretenses after an investigation into millions of dollars that went missing from a settlement involved the death of Satterfield, according to the Harris. They received none of the proceeds from a $4.3 million settlement that they said orchestrated by Murdaugh. Meanwhile, Smith appears on NBC Today and showed to dispute he was a willing accomplice in the September roadside shooting of Murdaugh. In his version of events, he says Murdaugh had a gun and it appeared he was going to shoot himself, which is when Smith says he intervened. The gun fired. Once Smith realized murder was okay, he drove off. October 19, 2021, a South Carolina judge denies Murdaugh's bond and orders him to undergo a psychiatric evaluation. November 19, 2021, the state's investigation in Murdaugh's business dealings leads to new indictments announced against him, totaling 27 counts, including breach of trust and fraudulent intent, obtaining signature or property by false pretenses, money laundering, computer crimes, forgery. Although Murdaugh is charged in respect to the alleged schemes to defraud the victims and therefore launder $4.9 million. December 9, 2021, the Attorney General announces more charges, including 9 counts of breach of trust with fraudulent intent, 7 counts of computer crimes, 4 counts of money laundering, and 1 count of forgery. In total, Murdaugh faces 48 separate charges. The victims include families, friends, an undocumented immigrant, and a man in a car wreck. December 13, 2021, judge sets Murdaugh's bond at $7 million. Murdaugh, who is being held in the Richland County Jail, also speaks publicly for the first time in months, telling the court that he had gone through opiate withdrawal in September when he sought to have killed himself. My head is straighter. I'm thinking clearer that I have a long time. I'm thinking clearer for the first time in a long time. I want to deal with these charges appropriately and head on. So there's just a laundry list of issues here, and it just goes on and on to eventual indictment of him being charged, tried in this courthouse right here. Step back a little bit and let me show you, step up back a little bit and let me show you this full sign with the backdrop if you can. You know, he is guilty in my mind. Change my mind. If you think Alex Murdaugh is innocent, why do you feel he's innocent? Because I feel he is guilty. And I am here expressing my First Amendment, drinking a little coffee. What do you think? We'll talk soon. I'm out here reporting live. Jonathan Lee Bridges investigates. Subscribe to my channel, hit the notification button. We'll talk soon. God bless.